All right, I think we are live. What's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for joining in on this another episode of the podcast. We're here with Donald, Paul, and Colin. Donald, if you want to do a quick intro of our guest tonight.
So our guest is a really, really cool guy. Oh, we got a lot of feedback.
You do?
I'm not getting any feedback.
Neither am I.
No, it sounds good. Colin, can you hear us? Okay.
I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, I think it's just you. Are you using your cell phone and headphones, or
I'm not using any headphones or anything.
maybe
Can
you
you-
got a ghost? You got a ghost in your house there. He looks very scared right now. You okay,
You can-
Donald?
we can
If you're
we can hear
if
you.
you are okay, just move your head like this, Donald. If you're not, well, give us a nice to meet you, Colin. While Donald fixes his ghost issues at his house, give us a quick intro of yourself, if you can.
My name is Sir Colin Franklin. I have two junior racers out here in the world. Um, been involved with the cycling community for racing in the racing community for about 9 years now. Um, met Donald a few years ago, and we've been running ever since.
That's cool. So tell us about your two kids. I know them, but you tell us tell the rest of the audience about your two kids.
So I have two junior racers. I have one that's in the race age 18. Her name is Azara Franklin. A lot of people know her as Z or Speedy Butterfly. She currently is racing unattached. Um, she's had a lot of great experiences over the years. I can say cycling has really done well for her. And then I have an 11-year-old who's in the cycling only to beat his sister.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That's
What,
pretty big aspirations. That's pretty. I've watched
What-
your daughter for 9 years now, and she's fast. She's fast.
Yeah, I don't ride with her anymore. I just ride with the 11-year-old.
That's probably good thinking. So part of the show really is to talk about your entry as a family, right? How you bring your children into the racing world. And I mean, your daughters race my daughters, right? So we know each other for a while, and I've watched her grow up with you guys and all the work that you've done with her. So just tell us a little bit in the beginning, like how did it come about? How did you guys find it? First race, scrambling for equipment, we're still scrambling for equipment, but all that stuff. To give us some background to that.
Honestly, when we first got into the sport, she wanted nothing to do with the sport. She didn't want to ride a bike. If yeah, didn't want to have anything to do with it. And then I took her to a race, and what it was for her is she saw another little girl out there racing that looked like her, and that gave her some inspiration to get out there and start racing. So took her to a race at 8. She learned how to ride a bike at 8. She started racing at 9.
Wow.
Yeah. And as far as the equipment, I'd been riding for a while before she started racing. So I kind of had an idea of what I was gonna need and everything. So then at that time, Facebook Marketplace became a best friend because she was growing so fast. I was buying her a new bike every year,
Mhm.
and let's see, I reached out to Rock Creek Velo and talked to the coaches over there, and they were excited to have her. But the only problem is that I can never get to their workouts in time after school, just because of where we lived at and where practice started. We just couldn't make it happen. So then he introduced us to GII, and that's where she got her start as a junior racer.
And was her first race a cyclocross race, or she was started on the road and then went to cyclocross?
Started on the road and never did cyclocross.
Oh, never did a race. Okay.
Never done cyclocross. I wish I would have known about cyclocross when I first got her into it.
Right.
I didn't really know too much about it because I was a roadie myself. So, naturally we just gravitated more to the road. But when my son started racing, he did a couple of years of cyclocross, and that was a game changer because I noticed that at the same age that he was far more ahead as far as bike handling skills and confidence and stuff like that came from the cyclocross.
I would imagine. How old is he now? He's 11?
11.
Yeah.
He's huge.
So he's still be an under 13 for a while and then move up, or he's even racing probably with 15-year-olds now, right?
Not yet, because he doesn't take it as serious as my daughter did.
Okay.
So for him, it's just something to do. He gets out there with his friends and rides. His thing is soccer.
Okay.
So cycling is just something to do. And like I said, once he's able to beat his sister, he said he's retiring.
That is cool.
Amazing.
I'm thinking she's going to keep him in the business for a while.
Yeah, she's going to keep him in the business for quite a while.
She doesn't strike me as somebody's going to let him win down the road. I don't think so.
No, not at all. Not at all. And, it's crazy now is they ride the same size bike now. So I can't pass on any more of her stuff to him.
Someone commented, said it would be awesome to see a young black lady from our area in the biggest stages of the world.
Yes, it would be.
I have a question for you, Donald. I have sorry, Colin. I have a daughter myself, and she's gonna be 3 this year. And I enjoy cycling. And my question, how me as a dad, how can show her that the way, of falling in love, not necessarily with cycling, but I mean, I would love for her to fall in love with cycling, but with any sport, how you put the passion as a kid, and then follow through all the way, where your daughter is.
Honestly, you got to let them figure out the path they want to take, and then once you know that they're serious about it, you just jump head first, sink or swim, and support. I know for Azira, it was the first few years was tough for us because we were still learning, and in our community there aren't a lot of racers, so it wasn't a lot of people to lean on because we were all learning together. And but I would say for a young child, just once they figure out what that passion is, you just gotta go all in with them. Because that's exactly what we did. And Donald's been around over the years. Paul's been around over the years. We're everywhere.
Yeah, it definitely takes a village, to make it happen. I had some other people that I wanted to plan on being on this podcast. I had 2 other dads that I wanted in on the podcast, but they had previous, last minute thing, trying to ask people to come on last minute. But I had 2 other dads that I wanted to come on. I wanted someone to come on at a lower level, where it was my buddy M. Tubey and his little girl. Sir Collins, Tubey.
Noel. Oh yeah.
I wanted Tubey to come on at a lower level, you to come on at the mid, and then I was going to have my business partner Rob Strohmeyer come on at the higher level, right? And kind of give you give you like an idea of what it's like to start a kid off, to have a kid in the middle, and then to have someone that's at world class already and still having that support. I've known Sir Collins now for, I want to say, 4 years.
Yeah, about 4 years now.
Yeah. So I officially gave myself the title. I don't even know if they gave it to me, but I took this title of being their mechanic. So I literally wanted to give, that's about all I can give to Z to help her get where she needs to go. And I don't know how many times we spent nights in my garage. So I have a shop in my garage here where we spent nights in my garage making sure her bike was ready to go. That was my contribution to helping her get to where she's going. Then you have a lot of guys off the Artemis team that had their contribution to helping her get to where she's going. And the amount of travel that you have to put into getting her there is insane. What's like a normal, I was out for a little bit, so forgive me if this question was already asked. What's a normal week for you driving her around just to get her from point to point?
Ooh, so this year things have slowed down some.
Because she drives now. That's what's the truth.
Yeah, things have slowed down some because she's a little bit more independent. So some things that she has coming up, I can just put on the plane. Hey, hit me when you get there. Let me know you're there. You know. So I would say from 2021 to 2023, I put over 100,000 miles on my van.
Wow.
Yeah. But that's also what a lot of people don't know about you is you don't only just get her to the location. You do SAG support for a lot of the rides that she's on as well.
Right. Yeah.
And not just you in the van, but you would have your whole family in the van.
Mm-hmm. If you see me, you see my wife.
Yeah.
Yep. If you see me, you see my wife.
I've jumped in that van a couple times when I got popped off the back of a fast ride. And I've also drafted that van back to the ride before.
Yeah. But, a lot of people have sat on the back of that van. Yeah. And it's funny. We started sagging her because back in 2017, I hurt my back really bad. I had four herniated discs in my lower back, which prevented me from riding. And so by the time I did get back to riding, she was already too fast for me. So I just made some changes. I was like, okay, my role is going to change because I can't keep up with her and I don't want to slow her down. So the best thing I could do now is keep her safe, or whoever she's riding with, keep them all safe by driving behind them and just providing SAG support.
Right.
And then
I remember the first time I realized she was faster than me. I was like, man, that's where we are now, huh?
Yeah.
And the sad part is when you realize that the kids are faster than you, you know they're not going to get any slower.
Right.
You know, they're only going to get faster from that point on. So it's not like you can say, all right, well, I'm having a bad day today. I'll be able to keep up next week. No, next week they're just going to be faster.
Yep. Yeah, I figure, I'll probably have a couple more years with my son before he's busting me up, and so. But yeah, I love it though. It's a lot of fun.
So Z went to a special school for cycling.
Yeah, she went to the Miller School of Albemarle down in Charlottesville, Virginia. She was down there for 2 years. And that was an awesome experience for her. That prepared us for what's happening now with the travel, because it helped us get adjusted to her not being home at the boarding school. And And then when she came back, we was just trying to figure out like who is this person, because you're not the person that we sent away. You came back more mature, um, more responsible, still a teenager, but
Mhm.
a new teenager or a new version of yourself.
Right.
And go ahead, I'm listening.
So
Did
she
she-
travels
did
as
she
well. So
realize
she's
that?
overseas.
Hold on, Tom, hold on. Did she realize that she had changed?
No,
No, she didn't get it.
no.
That's a good question.
No.
That's a great question.
Yeah, no, because it's funny. She would tell me of all these stories of her doing, just the simple things, laundry and all of that stuff while she's away at school. And then when she comes home, you have to, hey, what happened to all the independence? But she's back home with mom and dad, and we get it.
Right.
Little
So
family
she,
hug.
she
Mhm.
so she travels as well.
Yes.
Where has she gone without you as and how do you feel about her traveling? Obviously you don't mind it to a certain point because you let her go. How do you feel about her as a young lady traveling, not solo? I'm sure, like I said, there's a village, so I'm sure she's getting to where she's going, and someone else takes over the role, basically, that you would have.
Right.
She's in good hands. But how does that feel to let her travel like that?
Ooh. So our first experience with her traveling by herself was a really big moment for us. It was in 2022, and she went to Europe with ODA, and that was so when she landed in Europe, she landed on her 16th birthday. So that was like her, her coming of age and all kinds of stuff, because we had the trackers on. We're tracking everything. It was tough, but it was necessary for us to let her go, because in my mind, I'm like, okay, if I close this door right here, how many other doors would I be closing?
Right.
So it wasn't an easy thing for us to do, but it was also necessary, because, like I said, all of that stuff prepped us for. I mean, this year alone, she's made 2 long trips without us already.
Wow.
She was gone for over a month.
Is that when she went to LA?
Yeah, she was in LA for almost a month, and then we met her in Arizona at Valley of the Sun, and then she came home for 2 weeks, and then she flew back out, and she went to Spain for a week.
Wow. How do you feel about her progression, and has it been worth the effort that you put into it to see her progress at the rate that she has?
Absolutely. It was all worth it, and still is. And the one thing that we talk about a lot is that your process is not the same as everybody else's. She's had 2 years of health issues, but all of that has built her and geared her to the cyclist that she is today. I'm a firm believer in, setbacks are necessary to set up the comeback.
Right.
So, no, I believe everything that she's gone through since she started racing is all necessary, and it's all been worth it, because the flood doors aren't closing; they're getting wider.
Right.
Dad, do you think she feels the pressure, because I just know you guys as a family, and you it was a whole family. It's still a whole family process. Does she feel pressure? Does she ever talk to you about that? No.
Not well. So the past 2 years have been rather pressure free for her, and that's simply because she's been racing unattached. So no, to answer your question, no, she doesn't feel the pressure. She doesn't feel the pressure at all. She actually kind of welcomes it now.
Okay. You
So-
felt like, go ahead.
Go ahead, Paul.
I was just saying, did she feel pressure being part of a team, like that she had to meet their expectations, and was that troubling for her?
It was a lot that she still had to learn, and it was a lot that she had to learn about herself, and that was the reason why she had chose to do her last 2 years as a junior unattached. Is so that when she does have that chance, when she has that opportunity to go back to another team, she'll know more about herself and how she can contribute to that team.
Got it.
Yeah, it was for her. It was, she knew that it was a lot that she had to learn. She knew that it was a lot of mistakes that were going to be made, and she didn't want to hinder the progress of a team by not necessarily, being where she needed to be at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Makes
She's
sense.
really, really mature for her age. When I talk with her, she's very, and it's probably part of her worldly view and her experience too. But she always strikes me as somebody who's very like an old soul type to me, but definitely more mature than her age you would think, right? So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she settles us down sometimes.
I agree.
What was that?
I have
Hey.
no idea.
What
Hey,
was that?
Paul,
I'm about to say birthday party.
Elvis is now on my
That wasn't me.
computer.
apparently,
Elvis is doing
Paul,
stuff on my computer.
Paul is just
Paul's
full of stuff
celebrating
today.
now.
Celebrating with balloons on the side. On that
So-
note, we have a couple comments. We have from it says, Colin, I have loved watching your kiddos grow up in this sport. I will always cheer the loudest for them.
That's from Ray Menses.
Yeah,
Oh,
Raymond.
yeah.
We have having loved ones come and support goes a long way. Like Donald says, it takes a village. Yeah, that was on the earlier comment, and it takes so much courage and wisdom to let your kids go and chase their dreams. God bless her. We got Bill. Racing unattached without teammates must be very difficult. Can you expand on that aspect?
Especially during crits. Like she does a lot of crit races.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like going into battle without any other soldiers with you, right? Like you're alone in a crit, especially as the levels get higher, it gets more and more difficult to race these crits without teammates or being attached. I mean, you can do it if you're very, very, very strong, but it gets really hard to do without teammates at a certain level.
Right. Yeah, it does. But honestly, she is really enjoying racing by herself right now because she's learning how to use everybody in the race as a teammate to accomplish the goal that she's trying to accomplish. And it's making her smarter because she only has her to depend on. If you can't blame anybody else for a mistake being made or not being in the right position or anything like that, because it's just you.
What's her specialty? What would you say what would her specialty be? Is it time trial? Is it because she does everything. She does a little bit of everything.
She does a little bit of everything, and I'll be honest with you, we have been trying to figure out what her specialty is.
Right.
Because she's pretty decent at everything.
Right.
Nice.
So for me, it's hard to say if you let her tell it. She wants to be more of that hybrid sprinter.
Right.
The one that can get over the climbs and finish.
Right. And I can honestly see her taking that role for sure. I mean, it's a tough one to think about. But everybody wants to be a true sprinter until they realize that once you get that true sprinter's technique, form, and power down, that once it goes in the hills, you're shot off the back and you'll never use your sprint in that race anyway.
Right.
It takes a Cadell Evans and a Peter Sagan that to get to be able to climb the Alps as well as sprint at the end. That's a unique person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a clip here of her Instagram, I think. Let's see if we can share that.
Guess who pulled that off, Donald?
Who pulled what off? Oh, Elvis?
No. Hold on. Wait for it. Let's see if it happens. There we go.
Yes, for those that I guess want to check her out. I found her Instagram here. That's her Instagram, and she has a whole bunch of cool. I don't know if you guys can hear the audio.
Wait a minute. Hold my beverage. I'm hydrated.
So it's Colin, is the camera the point of her view, I guess?
That's her point of view.
Okay.
Watch me work. I got a beast mode originated on the East Coast and elevated to the cosmos. I've been meditating on this with my eyes open since I was like 5, so I got skills to
This
pay
looks
the
like
bills,
Cali,
put the
right?
bills up on the table.
Yeah, that's somewhere like
Whoa.
Look at my face. Do I look like
Actually, I'm gonna stop playing because we might get flag on YouTube.
That's a good idea. But check it out.
Yeah.
The crazy part is hats off to anybody that races crits. Like,
I know a lot of you guys, many years of experience, but explain for some of us that don't have that much. What's crits, Donald?
So it's a criterium race, right?
Okay.
Normally it's a smaller race, about 1.5 to 2 miles long. A lot of times it's held in like industrial parks, and there's 4 corners, and a lot of times, not all the time is it in a circle. Sometimes there's left and rights, but it's close packed, really fast. And the United States is the #1 crit racing country in the world. So we are the fastest by far when it comes to crits. If you want to see the best riders in crits, the United States is where it's at. The fastest crits are probably out in Cali. Well, it used to be out in Cali. Now they're starting to kind of be a little bit of everywhere, but you'll see speeds of 30 miles an hour, 40, 45 miles an hour in a sprint to the end with people inches apart from each other. It's like I said, we were talking about anxiety earlier. Watching a crit race puts you on the edge of your seat, and all you have is anxiety throughout the entire time. For me, it's just, I can't race crits. I just can't race it. I think my anxiety is too high. I'm not as comfortable in a pack as I thought I was. Yeah,
This is full gas. This is full gas for like what, 20 minutes?
Well, it's not though. It's weird. It's like once you get to a certain level, it's like playing chess. It's crazy. Like and the more you know about it, and more you can actually look at it and see what people are doing and why they're doing it, the more anxiety I get, right? Because you'll see someone go off the front and you're like, oh, he's not even really trying to go off the front. He's just trying to mix it up and trying to make the pace higher. There's so much strategy involved that it's so much strategy that sometimes the fastest person, the strongest person, is not going to win the race. It's the smartest person, the person that knows how to put himself in position, things like that. I don't even know how to put it. It's like rugby on a bike, I guess. You know, it's a lot to it. There's a lot of layers.
Formula One.
Elvis, it's going into the second to last turn and not caring whether you're going to crash or win the race. You just can't. You can't care. And it could go either way. It really could go either way.
And you got to have that mentality. You got to have almost a mentality like Paul said. It is what it is. You got to put all the cards on the table, and you're coming into that second to the last corner in a pace line with your teammates, wheel to wheel, shoulder to shoulder, and it gets rough at the higher levels. And I'm not trying to scare people away from doing it. It's not for everybody. That's all I'm saying.
No, not at all.
Some of us have big red blotches on our hips where skin used to be and wasn't for a while, and now has grown back. Most of us do, actually, who've raced crits for a while.
I think people look at me and always say, "Oh, you mountain bike." The road guys will look at me and go, "Oh, you mountain bike. That's crazy." And I look at the road guys and go, "You race crits," and you don't think when I mountain bike, the only thing that can happen to me is things that I cause. I deliberately didn't do this or I did that. When you're racing crits, you have 50 other people that are kind of responsible for your well-being as well.
At least.
Yeah. And you don't know. Someone's wheel can go out from in front of them. And it's, again, not trying to scare people away. I just want people to know how badass of a sport it is.
Yeah.
It's they're warriors going out there.
We have a picture here of her on in a Legion Specialized. Was this like a special event, or is that her main bike?
So that is her main bike. That picture was at Valley of the Sun in Arizona, which is a 3-day stage race. She was getting ready to do the 10-mile time trial in that picture. But back in 2022, she was gifted that bike by Justin Williams and the Legion organization.
Oh wow, awesome!
So that's a Specialized Elay sprint frame. Nice, probably one of the most popular crit bikes out right now. It has the same geometry as the Specialized Tarmac, only it's aluminum, super light, super stiff, responsive. It's the same bike that a lot of the pros race in crits around the world.
So the bike has like a special geometry when you're doing this type of races. It's not just a regular road bike.
No, they are. There is a bike that suits crits better than open road racing, because you tend to turn more and you need to have a little more explosive, and there's normally not climbs in crits. And if they are, they're not sustained climbs. So you need a bike that puts down power more than comfort. So a lot of crit bikes, they'll go away from the comfort side just to have that power and explosive reaction when you put the power down to the pedals. Where a lot of open road bikes may not have that same kind of explosive power, because what they want to do is they want to give you a little bit of the frame be a little more supple, so it can absorb some vibration and be more comfortable for much longer time periods. A crit's going to be like 45 minutes and whatever laps, where road races could be 120 miles and you could be out there for 5 hours, 6 hours. So two different bikes. Most people use the same bike for the same thing, but realistically, a crit bike could be built a lot different than a road bike.
Cool. I have a question for you, Colin. At what point or what age did you? It's kind of like a combination of a mix, because I know some of the parents want to know, like, I mean, cycling can be an expensive sport, and we all know that. But for you, like a certain point, did it come to like, okay, we need to start reaching out to, like, sponsors, or like, how did you go by that? Did you started reaching out to people, or companies started seeing her success and started reaching out to you guys, or how, or was it like a combination of both?
I I would say right now, it's been more so people reaching out to her.
Okay.
We don't have a lot of sponsors. Like mom and dad is still title sponsor. But yeah, for her right now, it's been more so companies reaching out to her.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's unattached right now.
Mhm.
There's no reason that she couldn't race for Patapsco bicycles.
Right.
Right. Just throwing it out there, you know. Just you know. She could always wear our jersey. I tell you what, I'm always, whether she does that or not, she's always got my support from no matter what. There's a handful of people that will always have my support. Paul being one of them. It's like one of those things where I know it'll come back in the long run multiple times over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we truly appreciate you and all of your support, along with the village. Like, I mean, each year her village gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And I mean, you just never know where the support is going to fly in from.
Right.
And we couldn't have. We couldn't have done any of this really without the village. Yeah, it wouldn't have, it would have almost, I think it almost would have been impossible without the village.
There's my girl. I was wondering where your wife was. Barbie Franklin. She's
a village.
For Colin's wife. Great person. Always upbeat. Yeah. Like I said, you guys are great role models for other parents that are trying to get their kids into cycling. A lot of times you should start a journal and write down all your experiences so you can share that journal with people that may want to start doing what you're doing, because I don't know how I would handle it if my son wanted to be a cyclist. And I mean, I feel like you just got to go all in. There's no like you said, there's no halfway doing it. If you're going to do it, you just got to do it. And
because you never know what can come out of it. And I mean, like I said earlier, it doesn't matter what the sport is. You'll know if your kid is into it or not. And then once they show you that, okay, yeah, this is really what I want to do, like, you got to go all in.
And it doesn't have to necessarily be cycling. It can be anything. It doesn't even have to be a sport. It could be anything. I feel like as a parent, giving that support to your child is super important. There's a lot. I mean, I remember playing football when I was young. My mom running up the sideline when I would run a ball back. My mother used to run up the sideline, and I would have to beg her after the game, please don't run up the sideline with me. So
did she beat you to the touchdown? Just so we're clear, I want to know.
I think around that time, I think my mom was still faster than me. My mom was an athlete, man. My mom played softball all the way up until she had a neck injury. She played softball all my life coming up. Like, I mean, she was deep inside the softball associations, and so is my sister. My sister's now pretty much doing the same thing my mom did. My sister still plays softball, but but I get it, right? And I think that's the kind of parent I want to be. I want to be that. I don't care what it is that my son wants to do. If he wants to be an artist, I want to support him in that to my utmost. And I can see you guys doing it. I can see you and Barbie actually doing whatever you need to do to make those dreams come true for her. And again, I commend you guys, and my hat's off. And if there's anything that we can do to help that dream come true, then we're going to do it.
Yeah, I was going to say that whenever you guys have something going on, I think it would be cool I mean, we have some, we have a big community here, especially in our area. We can either, bring her in and or you, as a representative, and just kind of chat and see if anyone it's, willing to support. I think that would be a cool idea, and everyone pitch in or something.
So what is our accomplishments for like this year? What is she looking to do? Is she racing nationals?
She's racing nationals. Her goal, honestly, is to do well at nationals, because she knows that this is her last year as a junior, and she's trying to do everything she can do to get a stint over in Europe.
Get that jersey.
Get the jersey and get a stint in Europe with the U.S. National team.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of people don't know also there's different levels to, once she gets out of juniors, she'll go U19, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I right? And then it's U23.
Right.
And then after that, you're in the big leagues, right? So at U19, under 19, you can race whatever class you want, or you can go in just U19. Same thing with U23. You can race U23, which is a class upon itself where everybody is under 23, or you can just race open class. So you'll see a lot of kids going in and just saying, you know what, I'm fast enough at this point where I can just race open class. You look at someone like Seth Coos, and he wasn't racing U23, but you know what I mean? He's racing with the best in the world at that age. And he is like literally the best in the world. And so I look at her wanting to get the jersey before she gets to that point, but there's always different levels. So if she doesn't get it at juniors, she has U19 to get it. She has U23 to get it also.
Yeah. I think it's so at nationals now it goes straight from juniors to U23. There's no more U19.
Okay.
I think juniors is the U19.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. Well, that makes sense. 19 is the ceiling. And
right.
After that, you're no longer a junior. I got you. Makes sense. But yeah, man, I wish her the best of luck for sure.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sir Colin, there's been a couple of questions that came up on the chat and in the Facebook feed. When you say it takes a village, who do you consider to be your village?
Ooh, the village. The village is the community. The village is who supports her. The village goes from the DMV to Florida to California it's the village spreads all over the place. And it's the support that she's received from the community it's been unreal. I've said it before and I'll say it again, that we would not have been able to do the stuff that we have done without the support of the village or community.
Now to give people an idea of getting to that level, and say if they didn't have a sponsor and they had to go out and buy a bike, they had to go out and buy equipment, they had to travel, what do you think it would cost someone to do that, like in a year? Like what? So say they bought a bike, the average racing bike, we're gonna make it cheap, right? We're gonna say the average racing bike is $6,000, right? We all know they get way more expensive than that, but $6,000 for a bike. How many thousands of dollars do you think you put into travel? Would you say 10 to 15?
More than that.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, more than that.
So, and the whole reason I wanted to explain to people about the sport of cycling is it's not an elitist sport because people want it to be that way. It's an expensive sport to get into.
Yeah.
If you want to do it on a bigger scale. If you're not just trying to be local, it's an expensive sport to get into. I mean, you can be on a travel football team and not spend $20,000 a year and travel wherever you're going to go. I mean, yeah, it's going to take a lot of time, but it's not. Cycling is one of those sports that it costs a lot of money to not only get into, but once you race at a certain level, you're not going to have one bike. You're going to have multiple bikes. You got to have multiple bikes. You can't just have one. You have to have a training bike. You have to have a race bike. You have to have multiple sets of wheels. You have to maintain that fleet. So it's a lot of people used to think and run with the narrative of, oh, once you're in cycling, you're done. Once you buy the bike, you're done. You don't have to spend anything else. That's the expensive part. In reality, it's not. You've definitely gone over the big hump, but there's more to it than that.
Yeah, and then you think, okay, if you got a kid that does multiple disciplines, not just the road, but like my son, he raced cross. He's done mountain bike races. Azara's done mountain bike races. She's raced on the track a couple of times. All those need a different bike.
Yeah, someone just asked on the chat and said, just curious if she's considered mountain biking XC.
She really wants to do cross this season coming up. So we're going to find her bike and she's going to do cross.
Well, she's raced mountain bikes.
Mm-hmm.
She's raced cross country mountain bikes before.
Okay. Yeah. So at Miller School, the high school that she went to for cycling, they are a mountain bike school. So that was the main discipline that they did, and then they had some roadies that went there, but they were a mountain bike school.
And I love this. I love this connection. When I describe the Miller School to a lot of people, think of that school that Harry Potter was in.
Yep.
Right. Only instead of wizards, they're all bike riders.
Sounds fun.
And that's the Miller School. It's like, it's the craziest thing. Things that are around now that weren't around when I was coming up. That like the tools that we are able to provide to these kids to give them a future in cycling that we just never had. I mean, I had families that would take me around and race BMX bikes locally and maybe up and down the East Coast a little bit, but not to the extent of what they're doing now. Even back in the day with inflation, the most expensive BMX, I mean, you have a hard time building a BMX race bike for $1,000.
I think that Z should invite you to the Miller School to ride their trails.
Invite Sir Collins or me.
No. You, Donald, you. It's made for you. It's made. Those trails are made for you.
He's trying to send you. He's trying to send you on extra training, Donald.
Right. I don't know. I don't know what he's up to, but
imagine the bullying at that school. It's like, oh, you couldn't ride 100 miles.
The cool thing about the trails at the Miller School is that they're all built by the students.
That's cool.
Really?
Yeah,
that is really cool.
As we were saying earlier,
and they're not flat.
No, not at all.
No, that's what you were getting at. But hey, listen.
He was building this for the last 10 minutes.
The school is on a mountain, and the trails just go up and down the mountain.
I don't know how.
Like I said, the cool thing about what climbing up a mountain is, at one point we have to go back down. So that's part of mountain biking, right?
Yeah. The problem is you climb for 10 minutes, you descend for maybe 1.
Yeah.
We were talking about earlier about like, like the community and helping. And someone commented here, let me see, and it says, where can we donate? And like I was, how we said earlier about how people can help and things like that. And is there, like somewhere that people can donate if they want to support her? I found her YouTube channel, but I don't think there's a way to send money there. Is there another way they
So she can't receive money through YouTube or IG yet because she's not 18.
okay.
But I mean, if people want to send donations to her, she does have a Cash App. If people want to send donations to her,
Put it in the chat.
Does she have a GoFundMe, or would it be worth setting up a GoFundMe for her?
she doesn't have a GoFundMe, and to be honest, we hadn't quite thought about a GoFundMe yet. But that's
Right.
definitely something to think about, though.
Her being unattached, I think it could help. I don't know. I could be ignorant to that side of things as well, but her being unattached and people that want to help out that may not be able to help out in other ways, but maybe write a check for $30, $40 to cover a meal while she's away. A GoFundMe is a great way to do it, especially when they know that everything that's happening is coming out of you and Barbie's pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you what, why don't you give us the Cash App if that's what you have? And I mean, I'll put myself down for a donation right now. So I don't know if we have about almost 20 people on the chat right now. And I think if anyone, I feel like I'm inspired because I'm a dad and I have a daughter. And I mean, what you guys have done, I mean, if I can support, with a little seed, then I can see, maybe someone supporting my daughter in the future the same way that, some of us can help. So if you want to put that on the chat, if you're able to do it, if not, if you want to read it out and I can put it on the chat.
Even if you wanted to do it later on, we
Yeah.
can go back and we can edit it and put it in on our YouTube in the description.
Yeah, that's true.
In the profile. So you don't have to stress and worry about it like right now, but that's something that we can do tomorrow, today, or whatever. And like I said, it could be something as simple as just like, man, it helps pay for a set of tires. Racing tires are $100 at retail.
Yeah,
right.
There you go.
Uh,
All right, real quick,
just
Donald.
that-
So we got the her Cash App. So anyone that is on the chat right now, do a screenshot, or if you're watching on the post live, that's her Cash App.
right on.
Once we're done with the podcast, I'm gonna send my donation from DMV MTV. So she'll
Right
see
on.
that for.
And like I said, it's one of those things where, like I said, people don't realize how expensive this sport can get, and how much time and effort you have to put into it to become a champion in the sport, and how much time and effort that I've witnessed. I still can't get over how, like, I don't think I've ever seen Azira out on a ride without you and Barbie there with her. So whatever time she's putting in the saddle, mom and dad are right behind her in the van.
Yep.
Supporting her, right? So it's not like I have my wife I work on Saturdays. My wife takes my son to swim class. I am incredibly grateful to her because she puts that's her putting her time into taking him to swim class. I couldn't imagine if he got into a sport that every minute of that sport, my wife has to put that much time into, or I have to put that much time into. I know for a fact that we would. If we could, we were going to do it. But I don't see a lot of parents doing as much as you guys are doing. And it's not just you guys helping her and putting that effort in, but you're also there for guys like me who, like I said, when I get popped off the back, I can hop in your van. I can hop in your van as well. So
Yeah. So for us, the cycling community has become a lot like family. And so, when we go out to these rides, like you said, we're not just supporting her, we support everybody just the same. Um, shoot, I can't count how many times somebody has needed something and I just so happen to have it in the car. Like
yeah, I needed a rest, and you guys had that rest in the back seat of the van, and I jumped in there and I got that rest, and it was one of the best rests I've had in a long time. I was okay with sitting in that van for a handful of miles. So again, man, it's incredible. I've learned a lot about what you guys have done. I mean, I knew you were there. I knew what you were doing. I've seen a lot of it firsthand, but I didn't know to the extent of how much money you've put in. And again, it's no one's business how much money you put in, but I just wanted to get a kind of a ballpark of how much time you put in, how much time it takes to actually nurture someone to get them to where she is right now. And she's in the middle. So imagine like my business partner, Rob Strohmeyer, where he is with Andrew and how much time he's put in, right? Like, so she's the middle of the kids that I was telling you about. I wanted to have one at the beginning, one in the middle, and one a little higher up.
Yeah, I can only imagine how much Rob has had to put out for Andrew.
Yeah. I mean, Andrew has our bike shop, so he has a lot of help through the bike shop. So a lot of his parts are, come through the bike shop, and we build connections through the bike shop, and I mean that helps. But I can promise you that's not near the majority of what's going on.
Can't tell American Airlines, hey, swap a ticket for a set of wheels.
No, but listen, but what you can, once you get to that certain level, a lot, USA Cycling will pay for a lot of things and help pay for a lot of things when you get to a certain level, but it takes time and money to get to that level. You just don't do it overnight, so yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. You have the talent, but you sometimes, I'll say it from my point of view as a Central American, Latino immigrant. A lot of kids have the talent in Central America, South America, but they don't have the resources to get, to the pros or to like where your daughter is. And I mean, I've seen it happen a whole bunch of times to where you don't have the resources. Sorry. I do have one question. It's kind of like similar to the other one, because we live in a world where everything is about screens, everything is about Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok now. How tough were you, or you and your wife, to block those things, or like what was the balance? Because it's tough to do it, and like if you push too much, your kids are like, Dad, you're boring, but because she has the talent, but I'm sure at some points did you guys have to be like really really firm, or she just kind of like did it on her own?
For us, we didn't have to be super firm. We just held her accountable.
Okay.
If this is what you say you want to do, this is the type of work, this is the type of effort that you're going to have to put out to get to where you want to go. At the end of every season, before we go into the new year, we sit down as a family and we discuss the upcoming season. Are we still cycling? What are we doing? And because I don't want to force anybody to do something they don't want to do.
Right.
Burnout is real.
Burnout is serious.
Burnout is real.
Yes, sir. And I would rather you tell me, you know what, I need to take a break for a little while, than to push through and hurt yourself.
Okay.
So yeah, so no, at the end of every season, we regroup okay, what are we doing? Are we still doing cycling? Are we doing something else? What direction are we heading into? And we leave the ball in her court. And if that girl don't ride her bike one day, she going crazy. Like, she genuinely just loves to be out on her bike, and racing is an added bonus.
Cool.
Cool.
We
Well,
had a whole bunch of
we're
shout
at
out.
an hour.
Anthony Trueheart, shout out to the Franklins for being hella dedicated and supportive parents. They log in those SAC hours.
That's right.
And
Yeah,
people,
they do.
I think people just started commenting of the stuff you keep on your vein chain, extra
Yeah.
water. Kudos to Franklin and his family.
That's
GoPro
right.
batteries. GoPro.
We were at a ride a couple of years ago. She was on a team ride when she was racing with Kelly Benefits, and Nima was out on the ride this day, and he broke his saddle rail. And I'm looking at his saddle. I'm like, I got one of those in the car. Who carries a Cobb saddle? I had one in the car. It's the same exact saddle that he had on his bike. So hey, take the saddle.
That's great.
Yeah.
So we normally, Paul, do you want to hit him with how do we end these when we normally end it with asking questions about like who taught you how to ride, this, that, and another? How are we gonna incorporate that, Paul?
Know, because that's where it started. Like, it wasn't like Sir Colin wasn't into bikes, like he was. So I want to know about Dad. Dad, what was your first bike and who taught you how to ride it?
Ooh. So are you talking about my first road bike as an adult or just in general?
You answer it the way you want to.
So in general, it was my sister who taught me how to ride, because I was just trying to keep up with her and her friends. Couldn't stop the bike, but I could ride the bike. And then around the age of 20, 21, I had a reconstructive knee surgery from a football injury. And when I went to physical therapy, the first thing they did was put me on a bike. I was like, well, I can do this on my own. And I've been riding ever since. So when my kids came along, deep down inside, like, I wanted one of them to try this out because it's different, and you don't see a lot of people of color out there racing bikes. So I figured, it'll be a good way to get into college, because not to say that there's anything wrong with competition, but you're not competing against yourself, because everybody in the neighborhood either wants to go to the NFL or the NBA, but who wants to be a professional cyclist? Don't nobody know about it because we haven't been exposed to it. So
that's a whole nother podcast. But there's when you go into most communities, and it's not just African American communities. When you go into most communities, there's not a velodrome in every community. There's a basketball court and a football, again, multiple football fields, multiple basketball courts in every community, right? You go to schools, high schools, they just started supporting cycling with like NICA and things like that, but there was no support for cycling. You may have had a cycling club, right, that had a handful of people, but the support just wasn't there. So you wouldn't see that kind of stuff coming up.
Not at all. And, for me coming up, I always loved riding bikes. I saw my uncle, he put his kid on and go ride, but that was the extent of my exposure. I never saw racing or anything like that. Because I tell my kids all the time, like, if I had the opportunities that they have when I was their age, I'd say, I probably wouldn't be here.
And don't get it twisted. Z has multiple talents. She's not just a cyclist. She's an incredible artist. She could probably go to school for art. She could do all kinds of other things. She's a very intelligent, beautiful young lady who can could probably excel in multiple things. She just chose cycling as the one that she wants to pursue. Same thing with you, Sir Collins. You're from what I understand, a really good chef. You you can get down in the kitchen, from what I understand. So you have, yeah. Well, that's not what I hear. I hear a lot of it, but that's you come from a family that can pursue different things, and the fact that you guys wanted to take up cycling, man, it's a blessing to everybody around you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on tonight. We really appreciate it. I think a lot of people
for sure.
appreciate what you had to say. It's good perspective.
Thank you for having me on. This was fun. What's it? My first podcast.
Is it really? It's not. It's get used to it, because something tells me that the more Z starts to accomplish, the more people are going to want to interview you guys. So get used to it. We want to have her on for a bike check too, a bike check video, man. We want to check out her bike and show the people around what she's rocking.
Okay.
I think it's unique enough in one of those bikes that once she outgrows it, or once she's done with it, you never sell that bike. You put it up on the wall. That bike has a lot of history.
Yeah. She already told her little brother that he can't ride it.
No. There's plenty of stories and things that come from that frame. That frame and fork now has a soul.
Right.
You know what I mean? Once you get a bike and you have so many experiences on that particular bike, that bike starts to have a soul, and it has so many stories that can come out of that frame and that fork that you can't get rid of that. You put it up on the wall. And if you do get rid of those bikes, you'll regret it every single time. I promise you. I've gotten rid of like 3 or 4 of them in my time, where I wish I still had those bikes. And that bike it's definitely one of them that you keep forever.
Well, she will. Yeah, she ain't letting that bike go nowhere.
Well, thank you again.
No problem. Like I said, thank you all for having me on. This was fun.
Yeah, thank you for being on. It was really, really cool to chat. And I don't know, do you have anything, Paul, or
I weighed 182 today. What does Donald weigh?
Dude, I'm 208, I believe it was. Listen, how did you gain so much weight?
I've been eating like crazy. I'm trying to put on weight.
he's trying to put the weight for you, Donald? They have a thing coming on April. There's going to be
17th.
like a fist fight and like some other stuff, like a climbing challenge.
April 17th, Paul and I are going to be racing up a hill. But you have to give me something, Paul.
The dress.
Listen.
You're wearing a pink dress. Whoever loses.
What do you I'm putting weight on my back so that we're equal going up the hill.
Maybe. Hopefully I can get down and we meet at 190.
I hope that too. But I'm still gonna put the weight on my back.
But can we go uphill and then downhill?
Yeah, it doesn't make a difference.
I thought we were doing 3. We were doing 3: down, uphill, downhill, and flat.
If I'm really angry at you, I'll go uphill. I'll come back down, meet you, go uphill again, and then I'll go back down.
Damn. And that's why I say that's why we call him No Chill.
No chill.
No chill.
Good night.
Right
Good
there.
night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you
before-
guys again.
Before
I'll
we
see
go
you guys
off,
soon.
I do want to put a picture up of her, so you guys can everyone that is on the chat, and I will put up the I lost it. Her Cash App. We talked about it earlier. If anyone would like to donate, so that's her Cash App, guys. Check her out. She's doing an amazing job. So if anyone wants to send her lunch, breakfast, or donation for a new set of brake pads, send her way. I think she'll appreciate it, and her parents too. So thank you so much for calling, and thank you everyone who joined the chat, and see you guys in 2 weeks, right?
2 weeks.
That's right.
All right. Have a good
All
night,
right,
everyone.
guys. Much
All right,
love.
you as
Thank
well.
you. Have a great one.
You too.